Hello and welcome. This is Katie. Thanks so much for stopping by. I'm excited to be back with another video for Maker Forte. This time we're making a baby card and using some Deco Foil. And this could also be a spring, like a Hello Spring or an Easter card, so keep that in mind. And this is the new Floral Cross stencil that I'm going to use. And you can see that outline there within the florals of the cross. And then you also get these additional pieces for the cross. This is the Spring Celebrations Simple Sayings foilable sentiments. And these are great because you get a ton of different sentiments. They're all foilable if you choose. There is a coordinating die that has released. I will link that up down below. I don't have that yet. And these are just like toner sheets so that you can print off, die cut your word dies and things and be able to foil those. So this is the Sunrise Lake foil transfer sheet that we're going to use today. And the three colors I'm going to use is Yellowstone, Bubble Tea, and Icy Mist. And here's my little color swatch. Icy Mist and Bubble Tea are new to the list and the new inks that I have that has released. So I just added that so I have it right there and I can figure out what I like and what I think will look good together. So I'm going to use the transfer gel in Blanco. You can use any of the transfer gels. I just happen to have the Blanco, so that's what I'm going to use. And this is just some hot press watercolor paper. I am going to be doing some ink blending, and that is what I prefer to use when I ink blend. So I'm going to use some of the Scotch Delicate Surface tape and cover up any spots where I might accidentally get ink that I don't want ink. And then it's also in certain spots adhering the stencil and paper down to my work surface. So these little blending brushes I picked up at Amazon, and I'm going to use those today to fill in the stencil because there's, it's better to use like the smaller, you could use a sponge, even a makeup sponge, and dab it in. But I find the bigger blending brushes to be a little bit more difficult to use to get in the finer spots. So I'm starting off with the Yellowstone, and I kind of do like a triangle pattern, but I don't really have a rhyme or reason on how I figure out where I want ink color. I just start with one color and then kind of fill in with the other two colors, or depending on how many colors I'm using, and work them all in until I like the way it looks. So started off with the Yellowstone. Now I'm coming in with that Icy Mist, and I think that is such a pretty blue. I just love it. And the Bubble Tea, I love that too. In fact, if you kind of blend some of the Yellowstone and the Bubble Tea, it makes like a pretty coral. Again, I'm not cleaning off the stencil. I'm just putting the ink down. I don't care if I get a little Icy Mist into the Yellowstone to create that green, or get a peachy color mixing with the Bubble Tea and the Yellowstone, or even a purpley color with the Bubble Tea and the Icy Mist. So I think it just adds nice variation in color when you do that. So you don't have to be super precise. In fact, I don't clean off the stencil till I get to the very end before I'm going to remove it from my watercolor paper. So I'm just going to keep filling in, and as I add in more of my Bubble Tea, then I'm going to say, okay, I think I need a little bit more blue, and I'll start adding a little bit more blue in, dab a little bit more yellow into the softer spots, or into the smaller spots. And most of this is going to get covered up with the cross, so I'm not overly concerned. I kind of just made like a boomerang with that Icy Mist, which I think is really pretty. So wiping that off with just a dry paper towel, and now I'm going to reveal that. And this, you could trim this up and make a cute little 5x7 card with a sentiment. It's because it's got that soft cross in the background, so you don't have to go to any extremes. I'm going to add a little bit of pixie spray to the back of this outline cross and add it directly to my card panel. And then I'm going to use the main cross that comes with the, that's also on the big stencil, and layer that over top. That kind of gives me a mask to keep the Deco Foil, or the transfer gel rather, from getting in places that I don't want it to get into. Now with that outline cross that I've added on, it's going to give us a pretty cool outline, additional outline of the cross, because there is a little bit of a gap between the main stencil and that outline cross. So as best I could, I added an even layer of transfer gel. You don't want it too thick, you don't want it too thin. So the best you can, add that transfer gel on. And now I'm taking both of those stencils off, get them in some water immediately. That way it won't adhere onto your stencil and dry. I let that dry for a couple of hours, and I'm using just a piece of any cardstock. Mine's gray, any cardstock. This is just to give this some sturdiness as we run it through the laminator. And then of course I've tucked it all into a piece of parchment paper, and I'm going to run it through the laminator twice. I have just an Amazon Basics laminator, nothing fancy, and I let that heat up for like 15 minutes, so get nice and hot. And this is our second pass, and now I'm just kind of messing around with it to get it to cool off a little bit, and I'll burnish it just to kill some time, and then once I feel that it's cold enough, I will remove it. And you can see that kind of distressed outline of the foil around the cross. I like it. I think it's cool. And just taking a sand eraser to get off some excess foil that got in some places that I didn't want it to get onto. And the panel is done. Super simple, a little time consuming because you got to wait for that transfer gel to dry. Otherwise, really easy to do, because you can do all your stenciling and then do all your transfer gel, and then let them all dry, and then whip out your foiling to make a nice set of spring birthday baby cards. Anything would work for this color combination. I'm using a soft blue cardstock as a layering mat, and then my card base is just a soft gray, light gray cardstock. This is an A2 size card, and then our main panel measures 4 by 5 1/4, the foiled panel. This is just a piece of layering cardstock to be able to put our sentiment. And of course, you saw in the beginning, our simple saying spring celebration sentiment I'm using is "Welcome to the world, little one." And I did add an extra layer of cardstock to pop that sentiment up a little bit. You could use a little bit of foam if you wanted to as well. But that wraps it up, my friends. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Be sure and check out the description box below and click on the link to follow us over on our Facebook group, the Crafter Party, and share your makes with us. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you in the next video.